this is your girl Stephanie, and welcome to She Prays. I'm so happy you're here today on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. For those of you who don't know, I'm Stephanie Myers, and I teach women of faith how to pray more effective prayers by tapping into the power that they possess on the inside to manifest the life that they desire. So today, I'm excited about being here. I'm driving, as you see, so I won't be completely looking at the camera the entire time. So today, I want to talk about, is manifestation a sin? Yes, it has to be addressed. It has to be addressed. A lot of women of faith, even men of faith, they question whether or not when you begin to talk about manifestation, or when someone says the word universe, or when someone says manifestation, all of a sudden they back away and they say, oh, why are we talking about that? And that's getting into something that God is not, that God does not approve, that God does not like, that it's a sin. There are some people who actually believe that manifestation is a sin. So this video on today, I am going to address this concept of thinking. If you know anything about me, if you know about my story, I've shared several times. First of all, let me just give you a background about myself. I am a pastor's daughter. I grew up in a pastor's home with a man of God that I consider a man of God even to this day. My dad has gone on and passed on about 3 years ago, but I carry his the foundation of faith that he taught us. My dad was a faith pastor. The name of his ministry was Faith Temple, because everything was based upon having faith in God. And my dad used to always call on the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And when he laid hands on the sick, this is a God. When he cast out demons, this was the God he called upon. And so I came up under a very strong foundation of faith. I want to fast forward a little bit into my teenage years. When I became a teenager, I began to ask God for things and began to pray for things. I was very emotional, and a lot of times those things would come to pass. A lot of times those things wouldn't. And I had questions because I was coming up under a ministry, my dad's ministry, and I saw him, not only preach about what God is able to do, but I saw him live it, and I saw him walk it out in his own life. There were things that my dad and my mom both accomplished together that the average individual wouldn't have accomplished without assistance from outside programs. We never had food stamps, all of that stuff. They just believed that God would take care of us, and he did. And so I believed in this faith that my dad was preaching, that because they were showing right before my eyes, I was seeing it happen. At one point, my parents had 7 vehicles at one time in the yard. And so I saw what God was able to do if you just trusted him and you just believed. I had firsthand witness to see this happening. So as I began to get older, I'm about 16 years old, I began to want things to happen in my life, and those things weren't manifesting like I really wanted them to. Why is God not hearing me? I had questions as to why is he not hearing me? Why is he not answering my prayers? I know that he's able to do this, so why is it not happening? And so around the age of 17, I remember an instance where my dad, I had told him about prom. I began to discuss about how prom was coming up and I needed some things for prom, and I was kind of walking around the house voicing this out to my mom and my dad. And I remember my dad saying, oh, I'm going to take care of your things for prom, don't worry about it. I remember going to church on a Sunday night, and my dad had just got finished preaching, and it was a long night. We were headed to the car and we were walking, and I realized that prom was a week away. And I was like, oh wow, prom is this Saturday, and here it is Sunday. I began to talk to my dad about prom. I said, Dad, prom is this Saturday. And he was like, he just said, girl, leave me alone about that. I don't want to talk about that right now. So I remember saying to myself, now, wait a minute, Dad, you're the one who told me to, that you were going to help me get my things for prom. And so I was upset. I was a bit disappointed. Like I said, maybe it was the wrong time to approach him about prom. As I foresaid, he had just got out of service. I remember walking away, and I was really, really, really upset. And but for some reason, at that point, I remember looking in the sky, and I remember saying, God, I thank you for blessing me with everything I need for prom. And do you know, the very next day, I found $80 on the ground. I found $80. Now, $80 may not seem like a lot now, but this is 22 years ago when I was going to prom, close to 23 years ago now. And so that $80 that I found on the ground the next day was able to take care of everything I needed for prom. And so this is why I share with people about manifestation. What that was me basically giving it to God in total absolute faith, and what I desired manifested. Now, a lot of people may say, well, that's not anything unique, Stephanie, but it was very unique for me because it had never happened before. Keep in mind, I'm the same girl who had prayed and prayed and prayed. There are times I prayed. There's times I cried out to God for things to happen in my life, and it didn't happen that way. This time, all it took was me to be in a very, very high emotional state, because I was very disappointed that my dad had said that. I was very disappointed. But that moment of disappointment, actually, I was able to turn it around. And because I was upset, I was able to emotionally charge the words that I said. And we'll get into that a little bit later. As I began to learn more about manifestation, I learned exactly what had happened at that moment. I emotionally charged those words that I spoke, and God could not help but send his angels to assist me in the things that I needed to go to prom. Is God concerned about prom? Is God concerned about the smallest things? Yes, he is. Absolutely, he is. Does God want to bless us with our heart's desire? Absolutely. I always go into the scripture and I talk about how in the very beginning, when he spoke to Noah, and he told him, he said, Noah, as long as the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest shall not cease. Now, when God told Noah that, God was not only talking about the trees and the grass growing and the things that we think about mostly when we talk about seeds, but he was also talking about the law of sowing and reap. Whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. And what that simply means is that at every moment of the day, at every given moment of the day, we are manifesting. Manifestation is not a sin. Manifestation is the way that God created this universe to operate. It is the fundamental law and principle that this universe operates on. So what that simply means is when you do something to me, guess what? It's coming back to you. That could be something good. That could be something bad. I always talk about Job in the Bible, how Job feared that his children would do something and that God would punish his children, and he would make sacrifices for his children every day. He would make burnt offerings for his children every day. What he was doing was his fear, his seed of fearing that something would happen to his kids is what was causing him to get up every day and to offer sacrifices to God. What he didn't realize, though, is that he was planting seeds. He was planting seeds of fear that his children, that something would happen to his children. And if you know anything about the story of Job, all of his children were killed. Eventually, all of his children were killed. So as you see, whatever you sow, that is what you're going to reap. That is what manifestation is. So manifestation is not witchcraft. Manifestation is not a sin. Manifestation is something that the Most High Creator has created to govern this universe. When I teach women of faith about manifestation, I'm teaching them how to be conscious of their actions, to be conscious of how they treat people because it's coming back, to be conscious of your thoughts because thoughts become things. The Apostle Paul said it best when he commanded them to think on these things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, of good report. If there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Why was Apostle Paul telling that? Because Apostle Paul understood that thoughts become things. and that you manifest what you think about most. So what I teach women of faith to do is think good thoughts, to try to be more positive than negative, to treat people with respect. Now, on the basis of that, would you say that manifestation is a sin? What I'm teaching women of faith to do is be very conscious of what they do. What I teach women of faith is how to be conscious about your manifestations. Okay? I teach you how to purposely manifest. It's nothing wrong with purposely manifesting. All it means is that I'm aware of what I'm thinking, and I see my thoughts going in the direction that's a negative thought, and it's causing you to feel negative. You're thinking bad thoughts, or you're thinking down, or you're discouraged, and you begin to muse on those thoughts, and you begin to focus on those thoughts. When you begin to muse on those thoughts, when you begin to focus on those negative thoughts, guess what? More negative things start to manifest in your life. Have you ever had a situation where it seemed like everything was going wrong? Like no matter what, everything was going wrong. Like you woke up that morning and something went wrong. And then you got to work and then something went wrong. And then you got to your lunch, to order your lunch that day, and your lunch was messed up. That was no mistake. You were manifesting from what happened to you at the very start of your day. And I teach you how to start your day in a manner that you can cancel out all of that. Okay? Even if your day starts out wrong, I teach you how to get up, to use affirmations, to be grateful for the day. Gratitude is very big. Those who want to manifest, the first step is gratitude. When you learn how to be grateful for just the day, grateful that I'm alive, grateful that, things may not be the way I want them to be, but I'm grateful that the Creator allowed me to wake up this morning. Just that gratitude will cause you to manifest, to begin manifesting good things in your life. Okay? So you can cancel out negative thoughts with good thoughts, with good feelings. Sometimes you have to put on some music to make you feel good, to get out of that bunk that you're in. Or if things start off wrong, you have to be conscious enough to interrupt that and say, no, we're not going to have this today. Today's going to be a good day. You have to stop the enemy in his steps, because there is an enemy, and most of the time that enemy is in me. It's in you and what you allow yourself to think about and ultimately manifest. Okay? So, is manifestation a sin? No. God created the law of sowing and reaping so that we can reap the things that we sow, because that's just the way the universe works. That's the way He created it to work. What I teach women of faith is how to make it work for you. How to make it work for you. And I've manifested so many wonderful things in my life. And I've shared some of those things with you all. I am dedicated to teaching women of faith how to manifest, purposely manifest the life that they desire. Hi. So, I hope you enjoyed this video on today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video today, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe so that I can bring you more content. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. I thank you all so much for watching. I love you, She Prays fam. Listen, if you want to learn how to manifest, click the link in the bio to access my free tips on how to get started. Those tips will show you the most important things that you need to know about manifesting and how to manifest. Don't forget the She Prays tee, the new design, the new She Prays brand design will be launching on September the 24th. You can do pre-orders right now. Go to my website at www.shepraysapparel.com to pre-order now. And don't forget to use the code FALL to get an additional 15% off. I thank you guys for watching. I love you. Talk to you soon.